I was not there, but I remember. I remember that when the swords had finished and the dust began to settle on a field that held everyone I have ever called my own, there was a sound the chronicles almost forget to record. It was not the sound of the killing had a sound, and you have heard me carry it. And last of all, it broke in my throat, and I could not finish the line. This was the sound that came after. It was the sound of the ones who were left. My beloved, there is a grief that falls to the one who dies, but there is another grief, and it is heavier, and it is given to the one who does not get to die, to stand in the wreckage of everyone you loved, and to be told by your own heart, you must live, you must carry this. That grief was my aunt's. They would pull the veils from the heads of the women before the sun went down. Hold that, keep that torn cloth in your mind through everything I am about to tell you. It is the measure of what was done, and the measure of what she rose above. She did not stay in the tents. When the circle closed on my forefather, my aunt came out to a small rise of ground where she could see the whole of it. And she watched. She watched the thing that no human eye should be made to watch. And she did not look away. And she cried out, not a small cry. She cried for the order of creation itself to come undone rather than permit what it was permitting. Would that the sky had fallen upon the earth, would that the mountains had been crushed down upon the plain. My beloved, that is the cry that lives closest to where my own voice broke. When I tell you that the voice you are hearing tonight is not yet whole, it is here. You can hear the crack in it most clearly. And then, this is my aunt. She did not only grieve, she turned to the commander of the army that was killing her brother, and she called him by his name, and she said, "Will Abu Abdullah be killed while you stand and watch him?" The man wept into his beard, and he did not stop his soldiers. But mark it, the first thing she did was not to weep in private. The first thing she did was to name the guilty to his face from the very first second. Hers was the voice of a witness. Then she walked out onto the field. I have tried, across all these centuries, to find words for that walk, and I have not found them. She walked through the bodies of the people she had loved her whole life. She walked to the place where my forefather lay, and she knelt. And she put her hands beneath that holy body, and she lifted it a little toward the sky. And she did not say, "They have destroyed us." My beloved, listen, because here is where my voice begins to come back to me. She lifted the worst thing that had ever happened to a human family up toward the heavens, and she named it an offering. "Oh God," she said, "accept from us this sacrifice." I was not there, but I remember the moment grief became an offering, and I will tell you a secret of that hour. It was not my own strength that has carried my voice these 12 centuries, it was hers. When the trampling broke me, it was my aunt who had already shown me how a heart stands inside a thing that should shatter it. The empire held the field, my aunt held what the field meant. And the moment the offering left her lips, something in me that had broken at the noon of the 10th began, very slowly, to find its feet again. They bound them. They roped the women and the children of the house of the prophet together. And they raised the heads of my family on the points of their spears, and they drove the caravan out toward Kufa as a parade. Understand what they intended, my beloved. They intended a victory march, the proof that the matter was finished, that resistance was a corpse in a field behind them. And my aunt took the parade they built to break her, and she turned it into the opening of a trial. Every town became a court, every staring crowd became a jury that would answer one day for what its eyes had seen and its tongue had not denounced. The chains they meant as her humiliation, she wore them up onto a pulpit. I was not there, but I remember that the empire thought it was leading a procession of the defeated, and did not understand, until it was far too late, that it was escorting the prosecution into its own house. They brought them first to Kufa. Kufa. And you who walked the fourth night with me, you know what that name cost, the city of the 18,000 letters. The city that invited my family and then abandoned my ambassador to die alone on its rooftops. Now the people of Kufa lined the road to watch my family driven past in chains, and they began to weep. They wept after everything, they wept. And my aunt raised her hand, and a whole city fell silent before a captive woman. And she did not thank them for their tears. She told them what their tears were worth. O people of Kufa, O people of treachery and betrayal, do you weep now? Then let your tears never dry. How will you ever wash away the murder of the son of the seal of the prophets? She stood in chains in the city that had killed her brother, and she did not beg it for pity. She handed it its indictment. And then they brought her before the governor. You bade Allah, the son of Ziyad, in his hall, swollen with his victory. And he looked at the woman whose entire family he had just destroyed, and he tried to wound her. How did you see, he asked her, what God did with your brother and your house? And my aunt gave the answer that I could not reach on the 10th night. She looked at the man who had taken everything from her, and she said, I saw nothing but beauty. She did not mean she did not see the horror. She had carried the horror in her own 2 hands. She meant that through it she had seen the one thing he could never reach. The covenant kept, the offering accepted, the witness that would outlast him and his whole empire. I was not there, but I remember the word my aunt gave the governor, and I will tell you the truth of it. It was not my own endurance that taught my voice how to go on after the trampling. It was her word. It was, I saw nothing but beauty. The strength you hear returning to this voice tonight, I borrowed it. I borrowed it from my aunt. And then the long road to Damascus, into the very throne room of the empire. He had the head of my forefather brought before him on a tray, and he took a cane in his hand, and I have carried this for 12 centuries, and I will say it once and move on. He struck the teeth of that holy head, and he recited the poetry of his pagan grandfathers, and he said, before his whole court, that this was his revenge for the idolaters his family had lost 2 generations before. He confessed it in his own hall, drunk on his own victory. He confessed that he had killed the family of the prophet to avenge the enemies of the prophet. And my aunt rose a captive, the cloth taken from her head, exhausted past what a body should survive, surrounded by the entire power of the world, and she dismantled him where he sat. Do you imagine, she said, that because you have driven us as captives, we are despised before God and you are honored? Plot all you wish, by God, you will never erase our remembrance, nor put out our light, nor wash this shame from yourself. And then she named what he was, O son of the freed ones, the grandson of the pardoned, slaughtering the grandsons of the one who pardoned. She raised no sword, she raised his own lineage, and it cut him to the floor of his own court. And there was one more of us in that hall the empire had not counted, my grandfather Ali, the son of Hussein, the one survivor among the men, sick almost to death, bound in chains. And when the tyrant set a hired tongue upon the pulpit, my grandfather asked to climb that same pulpit, and what came out of him made the room weep. He did not argue. He simply told them who he was. I am the son of Mecca and Mina, he said. I am the son of Zamzam and Safa. I am the son of the one slain at Karbala thirsty. The son of the one whose head was raised upon a spear. And when the tyrant, frightened of his own court, ordered the call to prayer to silence him, when the caller reached the words, I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of God, my grandfather turned to him and asked before them all, This Muhammad, is he your grandfather or mine? There was no answer. There has never been an answer. And men stood and walked out of that hall rather than pray behind him. They had nothing, no army, no freedom, not even the veils on their heads, and with a clear voice and the truth they brought a dynasty to the ground. That is what the witness after the witness did with nothing. I was not there, but I remember. And I remember that the road did not end in Damascus. It turned at last back toward the grave, toward the 40th day. And what was carried on that road is what we will walk together the nights ahead. The prayer my grandfather left for the guardians of every frontier when he could no longer raise a sword, and so raised a supplication. The smallest of the house weeping in the dark of a ruin in Sham. The old companion of my grandfather, the prophet, blind and bent, who would set out to walk to my forefather's grave when his own feet could barely carry him. The first pilgrim, the first of the 20 million who walk every year still. And the reunion on the 40th day of the living and the dead in the same place again. The chain that my aunt opened in the market of Kufa has not closed, not in 12 centuries. It ran from her to my grandfather, from my grandfather to the scholars who guarded the words, from them to the reciter, from the reciter into the room where you are sitting, into you. You are the witness after the witness now. And so I ask you the question I have asked at the close of every night. Only tonight I ask it the way the empire, without knowing it, asked it of my aunt. They thought they were asking, where is the one you loved? Where is your brother? We have taken him. What do you have left? And she answered with the whole of her life, he is here. He is in every mouth that still says his name. He is in this room. He is in you. Where is your brother? He is here. He has always been here. And he's waiting for you to stand the way she stood.